Hi, it's Kylie Minogue wishing all of the loyal listeners a very Merry Christmas.
This is Steve Miller.
I'm Charlotte Ray, and from the cast of Facts of Life, Merry Christmas!
This is Al Hood.
This is Ingrid Michaelson. You are listening to The Sounds of Christmas
podcast.
Hi, I'm Ken Kessler, and welcome to the Sounds of Christmas podcast. If you're new to this podcast, I want to start by saying thanks for joining us. If you're not new, welcome back. Either way, I'm glad you're here. Now, to avoid any confusion, I want to start off by saying there won't be any music played here. This is a place for conversation. I'll talk about Christmas music and some related topics, sometimes by myself and sometimes with guests. If you're looking for music, just go to soundsofchristmas.com and click on the tree or the player on the front page or on the Listen Now page. We play the best variety of Christmas music all year long. Well, except in October, when we play the best variety of Halloween music. Singer-songwriter Kevin Scott Hall joins me on this episode of the Sounds of Christmas podcast. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, how are you?
I am hanging in there this close to Christmas. How about yourself?
Pretty much the same. Trying to get some church rehearsal stuff coming up, some little bit of shopping to do, and all of that.
Is that how you prefer to be introduced as singer-songwriter?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
I really take pride in the songwriting, which I did early in my career, and then I kind of made a comeback with the songwriting about 5 or 6 years ago when I hooked up with one of my former students who played guitar, and he happened to live near me. We used to meet on the train after class, and he actually approached me because I had said something about being a singer in class, and we wrote a lot of songs over a year and a half, 2 years. So,
which came first, the singing or the songwriting?
That's an interesting question, because my brother and sisters will remember that I wrote little parody songs, funny songs back when I was like 11 or 12. But then that kind of, as I got to college, I was an English major, so the writing continued, but the songwriting didn't so much. And then when I moved to New York after college, it was more to be an actor, but I quickly tired after a few years of the whole audition thing and started to do my own thing. And that's when the singing started. But the songwriting didn't really come back until I released my first CD way back in 1998.
And while you're not all about Christmas music, a lot of what you've released has been Christmas music. And since that's sort of the focus on this podcast, I want to sort of zero in on that. I think this was your second release, was a 3-song disc called Holiday Spirit. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
3 songs. The title track, Holiday Spirit. Where did that come from? Do you remember?
Yeah, so that was back in the 90s. By then I was working the piano bar, a piano bar in New York. I had started to do some cabaret type shows, and I had an idea for a song. A lot of things in that song really are about my growing up. I really grew up with a musical father. He was a piano player. And then my mother was all about the church. So we really had like these Christmas Eves were really great. My mother would make us all go to church. So we'd hear the sacred songs, and then we'd come home and my father would start the piano. Neighbors would come over, and we would be belting out these songs until like 1 o'clock in the morning, which was pretty late, like in a small town where we grew up, but the neighbors loved it. So I always say like I've got a church side and I've got a piano bar side. I basically, we lived in a piano bar in a sense with my dad playing, and everybody, the drinking was there too, for sure. So I think all of that kind of finds its way into the lyrics of that song.
Yeah, it's kind of the best of both worlds of Christmas music, the secular and non-secular.
Exactly.
And that's really a good description for this 3-song set. Oh Holy Night, a traditional, very traditional song. In fact, it's one of those songs that in the first place that you have to get it right because everybody knows it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's worse now with social media than it was in the late 90s, but if you don't get it right, you're going to hear about it. But
Right.
and the other thing about Oh Holy Night is that so many legends have recorded
Hmm.
that there will be people who just can't help themselves making comparisons. Did any of that occur to you, or do you even remember if it did back when you were
Um,
recording that?
no, it didn't really. But that's a song that I've been singing uh, Christmas Eves for most of my adult life. Like, well, when I'd come home and I'd be invited to sing it at the local church, and I'm still invited to sing it at the local church. So it was more that song's really part of my legacy as a singer. And I've been told I do it well. Now, the thing about that three-song EP, did you have that? I wasn't aware that you
No,
had that. No,
no,
well, you can
I
get it
don't. I
now.
just
It's
saw that.
now.
I just saw it on your that it was listed on your website.
Yeah, I actually did like 1,000 print of that three-song EP, and it is now sold out. As of like 2 years ago, the last one was sold. So that's another reason to do the full EP. I want to re-record that song, but strangely enough, I did digitalize the third one if I can help somebody. The production values have changed since 1999 when that came
Sure.
out. So people were saying you should, produce it again. But if I can help somebody was another kind of unique find for me. And it's turned out to be kind of a concert favorite. It gets into more of my gospel roots a little bit. So I decided to go ahead and digitalize that one when I was digitalizing my music. And that one has turned out to be my most streamed song.
Wow.
The one that supposedly we need new production values, and that kind of raw recording of that has been my most streamed song. So I'm going to leave that as is.
What was it about that? Because it's not technically a Christmas song.
No.
What made you choose that to go on this EP?
I think because it's almost like a New Year's message about if I can help somebody as I pass along, can if I can cheer somebody with a word or a song. It's just a really it's that song is kind of a motto for the way I'd like to think that I try to lead my life. So it's a spiritual, it's the history behind that is interesting. I didn't find out until well after I recorded it that that was Martin Luther King's favorite hymn.
Really?
And I didn't know that song growing up, but if you remember that movie Fried Green Tomatoes, I
Mhm.
was watching that movie in a theater and that song came on for like 20 seconds in the background. And I heard that verse or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, I got to find that song. And I did find it. And it's been recorded by interesting people as different as Dinah Shore, Liberace, um, as well as like R&B artists. I think Al B. Sure from the 90s recorded that version I heard in the film.
The one I
So,
know is Mahalia Jackson,
oh yes, Mahalia Jackson, of course. Yeah. Yep.
big gospel number.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
From there, there was a big gap until more music came out.
Yeah.
Um, what happened in the missing years?
The missing years, yeah, that's interesting. So I really, by the early 2000s, I had just kind of become disillusioned with the music industry. As I say, showbiz, the show is fun, the biz is not. And I just was like, the piano bar scene, I was like, I loved it, but there was no real future in it. The little piano bar I was working in closed in 2007. Um, and I needed something else. So I went back to school. I went to graduate school and got a master's degree in creative writing, yet more practical decisions on my part. But that got me into teaching, and I taught at City College of New York for 17 years after that. And I don't think I would have gone back into, I was still doing shows here and there, but I don't think I would have seriously gotten back into the music if it were not for that student of mine, Yura Griban, and he's a Russian guitar player. If he had not approached me and said we should write some songs, and there was just a magic when we got together on Saturday morning for like pretty much every Saturday morning for 2 years, writing songs. We probably wrote like 50 songs, and I'm trying to get them out there because he's pretty much given up the business. He got bored with it. Like he ended up, settling with his partner. They had a child. I think he's had a second child now. So he's just out of the business. He got a job in IT, probably making more money than I am. And so I wish him well, but he really was influential in me getting back into the whole music groove.
You know, people look at the music business and it really, I know everybody likes to say, well, not everybody, but a lot of people like to say it's art. It's not a business, but it's a business. And it's tough. People look at it and go, oh, well, Mariah Carey's making millions of dollars every year off of one song. But for every Mariah Carey, there are thousands who aren't making anything, and it's a struggle. And a lot of people choose music because music kind of chose them. And they're trying to figure out a way, and it is tough. So anybody who releases more than one or two songs, my hat's off to them because it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, there's even, I'm kind of questioning the wisdom of putting out a full CD next year because a lot of people don't buy CDs. But the reality is, like, I'm spending a lot of money recording, and as you know, the streaming thing, like, it's impossible, nearly impossible, unless you're Mariah Carey, to make money back on the streaming stuff. And I think for a holiday CD, I'm making a bet that that's more of a souvenir type thing that my audiences will buy. Because I do that with my Christmas CDs. Those are almost the only CDs I listen to nowadays because I stream myself. As a consumer, I like streaming. As an artist, not so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely understand that. I love as a Christmas music junkie, I love streaming because I can
Yeah.
find so much that 20 years ago I couldn't find at all. And
Yeah.
it's amazing now. As somebody who likes to think of himself as a friend to artists, I hate it because it's just crippling. And Spotify will say if your song doesn't have 1,000 streams, it doesn't count. So you don't get anything. You could have 10 songs that have 950 streams each, and you don't get
Yeah.
a nickel from Spotify. Not that you would have gotten much more than a nickel anyway, because
Yeah.
the rates are so
Yeah.
low. Um,
Yeah.
are you on Bandcamp?
Uh, no, I'm not on Bandcamp.
Okay, but you're familiar with it?
Yes.
Okay. Bandcamp seems to be, and again, this is from a non-artist, seems to be one of the better sites because they give more to the artist. And there's Bandcamp Fridays, the first Friday of the month, where Bandcamp waives their fees and the artist gets a bigger chunk. And none of the other sites do that. On the other hand, everybody's not on Bandcamp. I don't think Mariah Carey has a Bandcamp page.
Right.
So,
Right.
and I don't mean to keep name dropping her, but she's probably an iconic Christmas music person,
Yeah.
which is why I do mention her. But if you like music and you do belong to or have a subscription to Spotify or Amazon Music or Apple Music or Tidal or whatever it is, you have access to lots and lots of artists. And Bandcamp doesn't really have that. Bandcamp does have a lot of independent artists.
Yeah.
And if you do love the music and you love the idea of supporting them, that's a great place to go. I am not an artist and I am not a business advisor. So I don't, so if,
Yeah.
so if you decide, or if anybody listening decides that they're going to start a Bandcamp page and doesn't work and they're not making any money and they want to yell at me, hey, I wanted to put in this little caveat. My experience with Bandcamp is totally as a lover of music and a supporter of artists. And I like to buy stuff from the artist, which really is the best way.
Yeah.
And it is tough to get to every artist's website. And a lot of artists, when they have their music available on their website, it's not really available from them. A lot of
Mhm.
them will embed a little Spotify player, or there
Right.
are links to Amazon or iTunes or something like that. And I'm not dissing any of that, but it's not the same as clicking on a thing and then seeing, oh, for PayPal, I can get their CD sent to me for $10 plus shipping.
Yeah.
That's coming from the artist who has boxes of those things in their garage, probably.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the best way to buy music, um, at least from indie artists, especially. I don't think Mariah Carey has boxes of her
No.
CDs or anything in her garage. I don't know if she even has a garage, but anyhow,
Yeah.
so that's that. So after this gap, Christmas time in Maine, not the first thing that you released after this, but I think that's the first Christmas single. And you did that with our friend Judy Pankoust.
Yes. Yes.
Did you guys know each other before that?
We met a couple of years before that. Not a whole, she was doing a show in New York at Don't Tell Mama. She was doing her Carpenter's tribute show.
Hmm.
And at that time, I was also working, I was on the Bistro Awards committee and I was doing reviews and stuff like that. So I went to review her show, I think. And that's how we met. And I found out she was from Maine. But the interesting thing about that song and what I learned from that is, as a creative person, I'm not encouraging hoarding, but don't throw away anything creative because I had started writing that song in 1992. Um, and I got like three-quarters of it done and I couldn't figure out how to finish it. And I stuck it in a drawer on like a yellow notepad. Those are what I use, yellow legal pads. And I met Judy, and it just kind of we were talking about her growing up in Maine, and I was born in Maine, and a lot of my growing up was in Maine. And I said, I need to find that. And I was like rifling through like a filing cabinet, and I found it. And I still remembered the tune that I had. And I said, would you be interested in finishing this with me? And then let's make it a duet or whatever. And I went up to her house in Connecticut to her red piano, and we sat there and we finished that song in like 2 hours. And then her friend is Grant Malloy Smith, who then went on to produce a couple more of my songs. And yeah, we went to his place in 21 and recorded that. And I think we released that in 22. So that was the first of the Christmas singles that are going to make their way onto the album next year.
And I just want to mention real quick, Judy Pankoust, if the name sounds familiar to you, House on Christmas Street, and also the Christmas with Mrs. Claus album.
Mhm.
She's been on this podcast before. Grant Malloy Smith has been on before too. He had an album a couple years ago, The Christmas Heart, which is it's great stuff, and it's amazing
Yeah.
that everybody knows everybody. That's so
It's
cool.
yeah, I love the connections made in the music industry. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. So last year was a single called Holiday Spirit. Was this a remake of the song you released in the 90s?
It was. Yeah. And
Okay.
Grant did that and he was kind of like playing with his jazz side with that. I like it, but I'm considering releasing yet another version of that next year. Because if you know, like another single I released last year was called My Heart Is Home, which could be holiday-ish. I'm not sure if I'll include that on the album, but I love what Grant does with kind of that Americana country thing. And what surprised me was how, with Christmas Time in Maine and My Heart Is Home, I never considered myself a country singer, but when I sing a little bit of country, it seems to kind of work and fit into a groove. So, and Holiday Spirit has become kind of a sing-along for my fans because I sing it at all my Christmas shows. So I'm kind of thinking like something a little more rockabilly with gang vocals they call them in the biz when they it's not necessarily best vocals, but that holiday spirit, like just people yelling out the thing. I want to do something like that so that it has a little bit more of a sing-along feel to it.
And I was going to ask you, My Heart is Home, not exactly a Christmas song, but
Yeah.
has some holiday sort of theme to it. And, I go back and forth on the whole thing of, is it a Christmas song? Is it not a Christmas
Yeah.
song? And I think that's really it's up to the listener. If
Yeah.
that's a Christmas song to them, that's great. I don't think "Baby It's Cold Outside" is a Christmas song because it doesn't have anything to do with Christmas, and I don't play that on the Sounds of Christmas. But I don't tell you that you can't play it or that
Right.
you can't enjoy it. If that's a Christmas song to you, I mean, it was an Elf, and if that's a Christmas song to you, that's great. But "My Heart Is Home" was a single that came out last year along with "Holiday Spirit." And what's the big difference between the two?
Oh gosh, I think like it's interesting that Grant produced both of them, but I think stylistically they're very different songs. Like I said, My Heart Is Home really kind of soars in a way like those the really good male country singers, they belt out those things. And I like how Grant really built that song. I think of it more of as a Thanksgiving song, actually. But and like I said, Holiday Spirit, he kind of jazzed it up from the original. Um, like you can hear that in the beginning, you hear that, and then he kind of mixed in some traditional um, songs in that bridge after the So Long Ebenezer, Goodbye Mr. Grinch. And then there's a musical break where he kind of goes into background music of these other like traditional hymns and things like that. So they're stylistically quite different. So that's why I'm thinking for the album, like it's interesting. The my first album got a little bit of radio airplay, and that's when you had to that was 1998 when you had to actually mail out the CDs
Yeah,
and all of that. And
and
but
make
this
phone
radio pro
calls.
yes, and there a radio programmer actually talked to me. I got him by phone or something, and he said I really like this, but I don't know who you are as a singer. Because indeed, like I had a couple of jazz numbers on there. I had one that was kind of country pop, a couple of them. That one was quite jazzy, and then I had like an anthem on there. So it was a little bit of everything. And what I tell people now when I tell that story is, all these years later, I still don't know who I am. And I think that's why a Christmas CD kind of appeals to me also, because I can throw in a couple of jazz numbers. I can throw in a big number like Oh Holy Night, and I can throw in sacred music and secular music, and I can be happy knowing that that can work on a Christmas album, to have all these
Yeah,
different styles. But if you're putting out an album for radio or just like at a different time of year, they want to be able to pigeonhole you and say, okay, this is
yeah,
our country artist.
yeah. I say something like that almost every episode of this podcast, that I love that about Christmas music, where you can have Jingle Bell Rock and Oh Holy Night on the same album, and different
Right.
styles too. Oh
Yeah.
Holy Night can be a big, giant ballad with, 100-person choir backing you, and Jingle Bell Rock can be a three-piece rockabilly trio, and it can both be on the same album, and everybody's fine with that. In fact, people will tell you that, "God, I love both of those songs that you did." But when you do that on an album that's not a Christmas album, it makes it tough. I don't,
Yeah.
and I don't know how important radio is anymore. And I'm not
Yeah.
looking for a fight. Everybody save your emails. But there are, I mean, it used to be like you were talking about, you're mailing out CDs and you're making phone calls. And now there are industry radio sites where artists can pay to have their music uploaded and available to radio programmers all over the country. And I don't know how well that works because well, I mean, they seem really these companies seem really successful, and I get tons of emails from them, so pitching different artists, but I don't know how successful they are for the artists getting their music on radio, especially
Yeah.
Christmas music is tough to get a new song on the radio.
Right.
A lot of people, we go back to streaming again because a lot of people like to get or like to try and get their Christmas songs on different playlists and,
Yeah.
and get a lot of streams that way, or at least you hope so. And I don't know if that is as powerful as radio or as powerful as radio used to be. I know that, and I don't want to be a get off my lawn guy, but I kind of am. But I know younger people, for the most part, in my experience, so there's all those caveats there, don't listen to the radio a whole lot. They
No.
listen to the playlists they've made. And I don't know, I'm not in traditional radio anymore, so I don't know how that works. I do know that I had a friend, an indie artist, who released some Christmas music, who's released a lot of Christmas music over the years. But I remember 10 or 15 years ago how excited she was because there was a station in New York City that was adding one of her songs, and it was one of the 5 new songs that they added this year.
Mm.
And on the one hand, wow, that's great. Congratulations to you. On the other hand, I'm thinking you only added 5 new songs.
Oh, no.
I still have almost 1,000 new songs to go through for this year.
Wow.
And it gets bigger every year.
Yeah.
I've already gone through hundreds of new songs and added, I don't know how many, but well over 100
Yeah.
new songs. And that's not to say every song that gets sent to me gets the go ahead and I play it, because it's easier than ever to make a song and get it out there, especially with AI now. I don't want to get started on that,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it is easier, and people don't go through the training like you did. Not everybody. Stop emailing me. Not everybody, but a lot of artists don't go through the training that you did. Somebody in their life might have told them that they're a good singer, and they knock something out in their garage or basement or whatever and put it out there. And sometimes it's good, and sometimes it sounds just like I described it. And it's not quite, they're not quite ready. But it's much easier today to get music in the hands of somebody who runs an online station like I do, or who makes playlists that are very popular. Much easier than getting through the door at a radio station. And
Yeah.
I don't know which is better for an artist. I have my opinions, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell anybody this is what you need to do, because not an artist. So anyhow, I apologize for steering that all over the place.
I do think playlisting is kind of the way to go, unless you have a connection. Like when my first CD came out, again, things were very different than 25, 26 years ago.
Yeah.
But like I'm back living in my hometown now. I left New York City a few years ago. But back then I was able to get some radio airplay at the local station because I was kind of a local artist and had a history in town. So then it was like, oh, we got a new song by Kevin Scott Hall here, which they played a few times. So, if you have a sort of a way that you can sell it to the radio station, like you've done stuff in the city or you're doing a show or something, they're more apt to play it. Like I did when that CD came out. I did a show in Philadelphia, so this program ran a couple of my songs in advance of that show. So yeah.
We were talking about mailing CDs and making phone calls, and I have no idea how you get on somebody's playlist short of, getting on Spotify or whatever and searching Christmas music playlists and finding the big ones and trying to contact them that way. Maybe that's how it's done. I don't know because I don't do that. But it does seem to be more and more popular. The new one this year, the new single, This Christmas Morn, which is not a remake as far as I know. Is this an older song that you finally got around to recording, or is this something new?
It's somewhat new. So this one has an interesting backstory as well. So after I kind of stopped working with Eura, I went to a seminar in Los Angeles about the music industry, and specifically it was about how to make music that appeals to for TV commercials and getting your music into movies, TV commercials, things like that. That's another new way to go. That's where indie artists can actually make some money. I haven't made any yet. Haven't, gotten a pickup on any of that. And to be honest, I haven't really pursued it that aggressively. But because what you'll find in a lot of commercials, this is a little sidetrack here, but you'll hear sound-alike artists. And the reason you hear that, and Bette Midler did a lawsuit about this a few years ago because the sound-alike artist was so accurate that people thought it was Bette Midler. But the reason that they have sound-alike artists doing old songs or something like that is because the cover artist is going to be, the rights to the cover artist are going to be a lot less than getting an original like Beatles song on a TV commercial or something, like a hell of a lot less. So they could pay someone like me, hey, we want you for a commercial. We'll pay you $10,000. And I'll be like, yoo-hoo. But if they say, we want this Queen song, they're going to pay the Queen group like $1 million, So anyway, so at that seminar, I met a lot of people, and one of them was a songwriter named Aletha. And she's out of Portland, Oregon, although at the time then she was living in Brooklyn and I was in New York. And it was the pandemic. It was 2020. And we wrote that song together, This Christmas Morn. And we wanted to reflect on the idea that Christmas is not always a great time. And that year was a particularly bad time for a lot of people. So the idea for the song was to say, we've got each other. We don't need stuff. It's this Christmas morn. Let's think of the bigger things, like this morning a child was born, and I still have you, basically. So it's a little more somber, but kind of hopeful also. Like we really should be looking at the more important issues here. And so this year, as I was, thinking about the CD next year, and I wanted to release another single this year. And I said, well, 2025 has not been an easy year for people either, for different reasons. And I said, I want to put out my version of the song. So that's what I did. So she's thrilled. We now have two covers of the same song. That's another thing too. If you can get other people to record your songs, you can make money on the writing end.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So a Christmas album probably next year. Other than the songs we've talked about, do you have anything already sort of in the bank on it, or do you still need to record and produce to fill up the album? Or
Yeah.
both?
If anything, it's a I'm probably in a position like you are. Like I've loved Christmas music since I was a child. There are so many songs to choose from that it's really about narrowing it down to like 11 songs, and I already have like three. So, Oh Holy Night is definitely going to be on there, a new recording of that. And probably Grown Up Christmas List. That's an annual favorite, and I love that. So I'm a little more choosy about the up-tempo ones. I tend to be more of a ballad singer. And I like up-tempo ones. I think I might do again, and this could fall into the not quite a Christmas song, but the I've Got My Love to Keep Me Warm, Irving Berlin song that allows me to tap into my jazz side a little bit and scat a little bit and all of that. So that's a fun one I might put on there. But other than that, I'm pretty open to it, and I'm really trying to choose which two or three sacred type hymns I want to add, and then two or three non-sacred tunes I want to add. It's really quite a lot of decision making there.
Well,
And there's going to be a surprise mix up. I think there will be a surprise mix up of two familiar, one song that's very familiar, and another one not as familiar, which was a favorite of my mother's back in the 50s. And I just discovered like 2 years ago when I did one of my concerts, and I had a female singer sing it with me. But these two songs, I cannot believe nobody got like sued for this. Different writers, same chord structure, same melody. So we tied these two songs together and kind of created a little back and forth using singing two different songs in the same chord structure. It totally works, but I got to find a producer who's going to really make that work for a recording. I want to do it.
and while there are a lot of songs to pick and choose, you can certainly do another Christmas album down the road.
True. Yeah.
The Carpenters did too. Many artists, Harry Connick Jr. has done, I don't know, five, six maybe.
Even Mariah did too.
Mariah has done two, and some extra singles. Yeah, I can't leave her out. Leanne Rimes has done several. I mean, there's so many, and there's a lot more than that. I mean, when we mentioned Judy Pankoust, and she's done two. There are so many. So really, it doesn't have to be the final. These
Right.
are the only ones I'm going to record
Right.
because it's going to be successful. Of course it is, right?
Yeah, that's always the thing. If I can, I always tell people I can't quit my day job because I still have things to record.
But, well, one of the trends, of course, now is the deluxe version of the album. So the album can come out next year, and then the year after, it can come out again with two more songs on it.
Yeah. Do you have an opinion about what you think is a smarter move, like a CD or vinyl?
I see so many people posting things on social media about vinyls coming back, or thank God for my CDs. I think there are a lot of people out there who do like having the physical media. Not being an artist, I'm not really sure. I know that as a Christmas music person, I can't tell you the last time I bought Christmas vinyl,
Mm.
but I've got the new one from Celtic Woman on CD sitting right here, about 4 inches away from me right now. So, but that is me. Most of
Yeah.
my stuff is in somebody's cloud somewhere, but it's harder for me. And I live kind of in a small town. There's not too many music stores around. I know that there is one mall about half an hour away that has an FYE, or at least they used to. I'm not sure if it's still there. But the last time I went, I was really surprised that the amount of music in there has shrunk.
Mm.
And they have lots of merch now, lots of pop culture bobbleheads and different stuff. And a lot of it was cool. I spent plenty of time looking at all that stuff. but it used to be that music was the first thing that you went in to look at CDs and records. But that's what's local to me. If you're in a big city, and it wouldn't be hard to be in a bigger city than where I live, you might have access to music stores that are really music stores. And then it's just a matter of preference. I think CDs are easier. I don't know if they're easier to produce. I think they are. But I know that they're easier to get. A lot of older cars still have CD players in them. So
I don't know why cars stopped doing that. Like I've heard more complaints from people about when you're taking long drives, it's a perfect time to like listen to a full CD, and nobody can do that anymore. Or, only the older cars, people with older cars. Yeah.
yeah, I have a car that is going to be 10 years old soon, and I still have a CD player. And I do enjoy that exactly for the reason that you said. I'm going to if I'm going to go to a big city that's an hour or 2 hours away, I can take a couple CDs with me because you can't get a radio station that's going to stay. And while I can plug in my phone and listen to whatever it is that I want to on my own playlists, having internet connections isn't always a sure thing either.
Right.
So being able to pop in whatever it is I want to pop in there is a nice option. I do not have a turntable in my car. That would be tough.
I do have a Crosby turntable. So
I do have a turntable,
yeah.
but I don't have one in my car.
Right.
And I can't tell you the last time I used my turntable. I love the idea of vinyl, and so many artists put out special colored vinyl. I think I got one from Trans-Siberian Orchestra last year or the year before. We did some giveaways, and they sent me, I think it was, I don't remember what color it was, but that was really cool.
Yeah.
But as an indie artist, I'm sure that that's not cheap to not only produce vinyl, but to produce some kind of colored.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing. I really don't know. It seems to me like that should be more expensive, but maybe it's not.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not. Maybe you could have some albums that are on red vinyl or on green vinyl or both, and people can choose. And the collectors need to get both of them. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
other than this Christmas album that is on the horizon, what's coming up for you in 2026? Anything else that you can talk about?
I've got some ideas. I still have a lot of songs that I wrote with Yura Gribon, that former student, that I want to get out there. Either, if not myself, then get some other singers to record them. So there's that. And I kind of wish I'd thought of this earlier, because I don't know how I'm going to sort of fit it in. But I will probably release something next summer to commemorate the 250th anniversary, some kind of patriotic song. I'm not sure which one, but or maybe if I'll write one, I don't know. But I like, there's another side of me that's into social issues. I have a Substack and all that, and I feel like that's a part of my personality that I have not really explored in song. And I just feel like, well, I was a kid when the bicentennial happened, and now I'm like, I'm not going to live to the tricentennial. 250 is the time to do it if I'm going to do anything. So maybe I can, when I go into the studio to start recording the Christmas stuff, I can just record a patriotic song on the side as like a single to come out this summer.
Oh, that's a good plan.
Do you do a themed? I know I was surprised to hear that you do like Halloween stuff.
I do Halloween stuff. I've talked about it before, and I don't want this to become about me, but you brought it up, so I'll make it quick. When the Sounds of Christmas started, I wasn't on all year round. I was on I would go on on the 1st of November, and then it was done on Epiphany, and then I would put it back up the next year. And that was a lot of work. So I started putting it up in October, but I didn't need to play Christmas music in October. And the rest of my family loves Halloween. So I started playing Halloween music for them
Yeah.
because that way it's up. I can upload all the other stuff that's not playing and make sure everything is working. So so I just did that and people liked it.
Yeah.
People like the Halloween music, so I started doing more of that, and then we were on year round, but still on the 1st of October, I changed it to the sounds of Halloween, and I see a huge bump in people who are listening because there are not a lot of people who are listening to Christmas music in September, and I get that. I don't expect there to be a lot of people in the off season, but I like to have it up there because sometimes you need a little musical Christmas spirit, and and the sounds of Christmas is there for you. I
Yeah.
just hope that you don't need that in October because you're gonna get Ghostbusters and all kinds of. I
You
don't want to
should
go
check
on
out
and on.
my song "In the Trunk," and the video is a lot of fun. We did a very professional video with that. It's turned out to be kind of a Halloween favorite. It's on some Halloween playlists. But
I saw that when I was looking up your music, and I wanted to make sure that I hadn't missed any Christmas stuff. And I saw it in the trunk, and I didn't have a chance to listen to it, but I thought that looks like something I should be playing in October. I need to come back to that.
yeah, come
So,
back to that.
yeah.
Surprisingly, like people like even that come to my Christmas shows will come up to me and they'll be laughing and they'll be like, "Oh, I saw your video for In the Trunk," and it's like older religious people and whatever, but they like it. It's sort of like a what do you call it? Like a satire on marriage in a way, but with some twists.
I'll definitely check that out. What's the best way for people to keep up with you? Is it social media, your website?
Yeah, yeah, that's what's up for me in 2026. I've got to overhaul the website. I haven't really touched it in a couple of years. So, I'm living in a new place, finding the right people to do things and stuff. So, yeah, social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm pretty active on Facebook, and I'll do if I have something special I want to say, like promoting this Christmas more, and I did a little minute long talk with the song playing in the background that I put on Instagram. Um, so you can find me there. I think my handle is Kevsco Hall. But yeah, I'm pretty easy to find.
Okay. And I would imagine that there are links on your website to your social media.
Yes.
Yes, I see them now.
Yeah.
You just scroll down at kevinschotthall.com. And I'll put a link to that down in the show notes so everybody can scroll down, pop over and find your social media. And they can also click over and check out your YouTube channel because you have a bunch
Oh,
of
there's
music
lots
on
of
there.
stuff on YouTube. Yeah.
It's
Yep.
there's a bunch of stuff on there that has not been recorded and released, but some pretty cool covers and other songs. I didn't see any other Christmas music, but
There's probably
that
going to
could
be
change.
some going up, live
Yeah.
stuff going up. I've been streaming it on my Facebook page, and in a weird way, like I didn't realize you can get hundreds of views that way if you just directly go to like Instagram or Facebook. Whereas if I put it on the YouTube channel, like, oh, 50 people saw this or whatever. But I've gotten a good response from this concert I did a couple of weeks ago, so I'm going to put some of those on the YouTube channel.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kevin, it has been a lot of fun getting to know you a little bit better and talking about Christmas music. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you for your support and all you do. I love the station and always hear something new and unexpected when I tune in.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you and yours have a great Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
You too. Thank you very much. All right.
And thank you so much for listening, helping us share some Christmas spirit, and for continuing to support the Sounds of Christmas station and podcast. I already told you how to listen to the station, and you're listening to the podcast now, so my work here is just about done. All of our episodes are available on the Sounds of Christmas website. Just click the podcast tab. And we also have a Linktree page that lists most, if not all, of the sites that stream the Sounds of Christmas podcast. So you can click on that, find your favorite, and then click on over and subscribe, and you'll never miss another episode. If you have comments or suggestions on this episode, previous episodes, or the Sounds of Christmas station, feel free to reach out to me on social media or through the website. Thanks again. And may you always believe in Santa Claus.